Hey, everybody, it's Ken Compton with the Savvy Inspector. Today I'm hanging out again with Coach William. Seems like we do that a lot, William. Welcome.
It's good to be here again.
All right. We're talking, continue our conversation about some of the breakout sessions at the Savvy Inspector Workshop, October 4th through the 6th in sunny Jasper, Georgia. Okay, so this breakout session is one I really love too, William, and it's about drilling deep in a real estate office, but it's really more than that, isn't it? It's really how to select the right office and then what to do to make sure you get a positive return on your investment.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite topics as well. You know, we were talking earlier in one of the videos, the importance of the social time that we have during these workshops. And this is a great example of one of those topics that comes up, and you get to hear the different twists and things that people are doing to, you know, not just market a office, but really market to that office. You know, the phrase you always use is being the big fish in a small pond versus vice versa on that. So I think it's very important once you break into an office, make sure we drain that office, you know, for everything that we can get out of it. And that's what this drilling deep is about. This is going to be a good breakout.
It is. Now, William, when you first got started, I bet you used the shotgun approach. You wanted to be a small fish in a big pond. You just wanted to get out there and see as many people as you could, didn't you?
Sure. And I can see that even with some of the new folks that come on, you just want to get the phone to ring, you know, whatever that takes. You're not thinking strategically like that. So I called it blanket marketing back in the day, because that's where I said, okay, just go blanket that whole office. Is that effective for the one-man shop trying to get his feet off the ground? It makes the phone ring, or can. But it's nowhere near what we're talking about when we say drilling deep.
Exactly. And, you know, we see smaller offices. They got smaller home inspector companies, one-man shop. They have 30 offices open. How could you even get to 30 offices?
I've got that exact thing. It's one of my competitors here. He's maybe a two-man shop, and I think he hired his brother. And, you know, and I'm 9 guys working on growing, and we are almost every office I walk into, this guy's stuff is in there. And I'm like, my God, how can you spread yourself that thin? I mean, you must be really hungry, or not very good at what you do, because he literally is. I'm talking about on both sides of the river here that we're working. I go out to the far reaches of my marketing area, and dang if his stuff isn't in there. And there's just no way that a two-man shop has any business. I mean, there's no thought into that. You know, do you have an area that you're targeted in, or don't you? And this guy lives over here on my side of the river, so I'm just shocked that. And I know he's being coached. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, let me say this: he's not a Savvy member.
He's not a Savvy member.
Yeah, you understand that.
Yeah. So you know, we won't get off on that tangent, but yeah, if you're going to choose a coach, make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, which coach is important. Well, you know, we used to have a home inspection school. It was a hit. They were in our training center in our Roswell, Georgia office, and a lot of the home inspectors would come through there, and I would talk to him about it. And a guy came through. His name was Clark. Couldn't be a nicer guy. And one of the things I teach is look what businesses within 5 miles of your home. Okay, and I teach that strategy, and so I would teach it to them. Well, one day I hear the horn honk come up in Roswell. Now, this is an hour and a half north of his house. And there he is honking the horn at me. Ken, what's up? And I'm like, Clark, what are you doing up here? And he said, a home inspection. I said, you obviously didn't listen.
Wow.
I mean, there's millions of dollars worth of home inspections between his home and where we met up there on Roswell Road. I'm like, are you serious? You know how much gas and time it took to get up there?
Yeah. Must have jacked that price way up.
I doubt it. It was probably one of them 297s for everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
So in this breakout session, we're going to teach you exactly the criteria by which you need to select these offices. Because, William, if you can't get a positive return on investment from face-to-face relationship marketing in these offices, why do it? And let's talk a minute about how you ensure that happens in your firm. We're going to teach this too.
Yeah, so, you know, we when it comes to drilling deep, we use a lot of different strategies, which we'll share there at the workshop. But I just want to step back for a second, because as we move forward and continue to grow in our new area, you know, it's critical that we drill deep. And I'm hiring inspectors in that area. So I want to make sure that those offices, you know, closest to their homes are our big hitters, that I'm getting everything I can out of them. Because as a multi-inspector firm, the last thing I want is for 2 of my inspectors to pass each other in opposite directions headed to inspections. So to cut down on expenses, cost, all that kind of stuff, and get the biggest return on your investment is to be able to drill local and as deep as you possibly can.
And I know there's some areas that you were popular in, but as your business grew, you said, I got to make a strategic decision about this area. If I send a home inspector over there, he's now doing 1 a day instead of 2 or 3 because of the geographic area. So you made the decision, I'm not going to market that area anymore, and you narrowed your territory further.
That's right. And now we still do get some work up there, but we were talking about strategic pricing earlier, and we charge an extra $75 if I go that way. Sometimes we get it. Sometimes they choose somebody else because our price is too high, and that's fine. That's what I was after. So, but yeah, you're exactly right. And it's like the guy we were talking about earlier that's spread out. Heck, he's probably up there too.
Wow.
I mean, it's just crazy to spend all of those. And what a waste of marketing dollars. I don't know how she could say it. It's like taking your marketing dollars and throwing them into the wind. Let's be smart about it. Where are the shakers and movers? Let's go after those. Let's find those offices that have those shakers and movers, and then do everything we can to get them in our back pocket.
I think everybody wants the magic pill. I can't tell you how many times, what are the 3 things I can do today, Ken, that will bring business in tomorrow? But, it doesn't quite work that way, does it, William? I mean, this is a process. Should I do this? Should I go out there to these open houses and bug the agent on Sunday with a bottle of water and an apple? I never do that. I never did that. But I will tell you, William, I made the same mistake you made when I first started Southern Home. We started as a multi-inspector firm. And so what happens is I had 8 guys on staff from day one. Okay, so the pressure's on Ken. So what happened was we marketed all of the metro area, which was ridiculous. Now, I should say we did market south side of the city where Gary Sloan lives, but Buckhead north. Okay, and Metro Atlanta's huge, as you well know. And what I learned in the first or second year, at the end of the second year, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe this is too much. So we went on a little further. We did home inspections, we had a new construction division, and we had an East division. And that work was quite a bit. But as we matured as a firm, we did just like you did. We said, we're going to take the west side of the city, Buckhead North, and leave the east side to someone else. And you know what? We made more money. It was less headaches. Our home inspectors were located on the west side. They didn't have to drive to the east side, and they were thrilled they didn't have to. So it really worked better for us all the way around.
Exactly. And I know we keep saying multi-inspector firm, but one-man shop's got to think this way too. I mean, if you're going to drive an hour and a half like this fellow you're talking about, you just cost yourself the opportunity to do another inspection. So I think this works both for the one-man shop and multi-inspector firm. But yeah, being able to drill deep, being that big fish in a small pond, because I think everybody's mentality is the more marketing material I get out there and spread around, the more the phone's going to ring. That may be so, but it may not be the work that you're after. So again, thinking strategically ahead and picking those offices with those top producers in there and doing the right strategies, which we'll show you, to make other top producers within that office ring your phone too.
I will tell you a funny little story of exactly what we're talking about right here. One of our members, his name is Rob, came over and did a home inspection for one of our sons who was put a contract on a home up here in the Georgia mountains. So Rob drove over as a courtesy to our family. He came over about an hour and 15 minutes. And of course he did his normal, excellent job. Okay. Not only with our son, Ken, but also with the real estate agent. So what was the first thing the real estate agent said to Rob?
Give me your card.
Bingo. Give me your card. I was standing right there and I said, he cannot give you his card because his coach won't permit it.
Yeah.
Okay, because you just nailed it on the head. And Rob is a small multi-inspector firm, but the fact of the matter is you spread yourself out an hour and a half here and there. People will like you if you use our system. And then what do they want to do? They want you back. Now look what you've done. You've created a beast for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, but I told Rob, you don't give her your card. I like her too, Kirby. I like her, but she can't have your card. She said, I'll look him up on the internet. I'm like, oh, because he has more business in his area than he can get to, him and his inspector both.
Right. I think that's true for everybody right now. It's a crazy market. But yeah, I think, if you do something like that, what I wish now, we're busy trying to get everything under wraps here. But my next step, and I just had this offer this morning from the top producer that I met with, was to open a satellite, office a little deeper south. And I'm like, I'd love that. I'm all for that, but I've got to get my hands around where I'm at in the new area that I just got into before I even start thinking that way. But if you're going to do those kind of things, if you're going to go target that area because you see the opportunity to develop something in the future there, albeit, but as starting out, try not to do that, or you will end up, like you said, you have to go all the way up there. By the time you get to where there's any other civilization, you've lost the chance to do another inspector, or even worse than that, you've got two inspectors passing each other in the middle of the day on the way to inspection, and that's costly. So again, strategic thinking, implementing these strategies to get the most that you can out of the office. And I know if you're there and you're at the social hour, talk to James Brantley, talk to some of these guys that have done this and pulled it off. They would love to share with you what's worked for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, William, one final thing I want to talk about this, because we're going to share this at the workshop as well, and it's the ROI tracking form for in-your-face personal marketing with real estate agents.
Okay. One thing that, I learned early on with the Savvy and having Ken as a coach was that what you track, you get more of, or you can, expand upon. If you're not tracking it, you don't know where in the heck you are. So we started small with that, tracking little marketing pieces that we had done, and we continue to grow. Now, the beautiful thing with that, get off on this tangent, but the beautiful thing with that, by doing that tracking, as we broke into a new area, we were able to go through and say, this was a great piece. That was a great piece. This piece didn't work. We're not using that. So as we introduced ourselves into that market, we had some really killer proven pieces to make that happen. So tracking is very important. So that's expanded now, to answer your question. That's expanded now to where Kayla, who my daughter, is actually our marketing director, and she's got this down to a science. I mean, when she goes into an office and comes back up out of there, and I could call in her right now and ask her what XYZ agent or agency, what do we have invested, and what's our return on that company or that particular agent, and I can get those numbers. Matter of fact, the meeting that I told you I had this morning had to do with a marketing agreement. Was my understanding. Turned out to be a little different, but so before I went down there last night, I called Kayla and I said, I need the numbers on this guy and his team. And so when I went there this morning, I was completely prepared to say, I'm willing to do this or not do that based on the past performance of your team and the money we've had invested. So I can't talk about how important that is to be able to track, and it goes a long way for building relationships if you want to take it from there.
It does. And we're going to teach that in there, and we're going to go somewhat quick in each one of the breakout sessions because we've got a lot to share. And that's why the website that'll have all the resources, all the downloads for you, all the information will be right in there so you can go back and reabsorb it after the workshop. So you'll have access to all of the presentations, even if you didn't attend them. So it's a very, very beautiful thing for the workshop. And it's one of the things nobody else does. No other home inspection education provider does what we do. So that's a good thing. When they come to the class, they'll know exactly which offices to select. They'll have the criteria right there by which to select them. They'll have what they need to do in there, the activities they need to be engaged in, and they'll have the worksheet where they can actually track to determine if they're profitable in that office or not, and if not, what to do. So killer breakout.
Yeah, you just brought up a good point. I want to throw in there real quick about the upcoming workshop and having these breakout sessions and then having the website afterwards to follow up on. One of the beautiful things about that, and this is just my experience from going to one of the first few workshops, is that you are so busy trying to write down every word so that you don't miss anything, that you actually miss some stuff because you're not eyes focused on the speaker and absorbing everything. So the beautiful thing about having the website to follow up afterwards is you don't have to do that. I mean, you might take some keynotes that you want to spark a memory about or something, but you do not have to sit there and try to write down verbatim everything that comes off that stage, because it's all going to be there for you, on the website afterwards. Killer.
It's a great follow-up, and it makes implementation way easier. Like William said, I don't know about you guys, but the older I've gotten, somehow my penmanship has not gotten better. It wasn't like fine wine. It did not get better. Yeah. So being able to go back and listen to the sessions and have the support material and the resources there was one of the biggest improvements that we made in last year's workshop that everybody raved about.